There's a record, I think.
Search together. IPSA. We're not just a name in a directory. Local minds with national synergy.
The local minds with natural synergy, absolutely. Of course, IPSA, the Association of Independent Personal Search Agents, something I've been struggling to say, but I finally got used to my new dentures. And you're welcome to one and all to this wonderful show. Of course, we have Hamish McClay, who helped set this up in the first place, of Search Convey, and today's special guest, Heather Poole-Lead of Shropshire Property Search, also known as Chief Exec of IPSA. But thoroughly gentle people, gentle folk. But here we are talking about the roads that led us here, the stories, the experiences that led to where we are now, because IPSA is a different animal to what it was when it was first set up, is it not, Hamish?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think Tiffany got a little bit carried away when she said this was our last one in the series, temporarily. But don't hold me to that, because there are still a few other people out there whose historical sort of arrival we don't know enough about as of yet. Now, I found it fascinating over sort of time, because we sort of meet each other, and very rarely do we actually sort of speak about what daft things we did to sort of endanger our lives to sort of join the ranks of the Property Search Agency. However, I don't think actually I revealed mine, although I did do it sort of up and down the listening path, which we haven't actually yet published, Gareth. So we're working on it.
Hang on, I'm going to do a gentle plug for that. Listening Path is a project that Hamish and I have put together, which is outside of property, but it's all to do with human emotions, human expression, and finding our way through, hence the Listening Path. But we'll talk about that more on a later date. Sorry about that. I just thought I'd quickly get that in there.
But today is an important one, because I've never known this. The length of time I've known Heather as well, I never know how she got here. So we're about to find out, because
she says a number 11 bus. I'm afraid I'm not going to be impressed. Heather,
what I do remember, I should say, Bridgenorth, when I was at school. Wow, that was a wee while back, a few decades ago now.
All right.
I used to be a member of the Bridgenorth Stamp Club, and I used to
Bridgenorth Stamp Club
on a regular basis.
Right.
They're probably worth a fortune now, some of those. Get them some value. But anyway, so back to Bridgenorth and back to Heather.
Yeah, well, as Heather knows, I've become more acquainted with Bridgenorth over the last couple of years, because Heather, it was all Heather's fault, by the way. I was performing somewhere for IPSA, because I'm a musician, and Heather said, "You should do this at," and that very day I wrote to them, and wow, I was there at the next Bridgenorth Festival, Bridgenorth Music Festival, a lovely place to go to, because Bridgenorth is lovely. But Heather, welcome to the show. We want to hear your story, your ascension, your origin story, if you like. I think that's what the kids call it.
Origin story. Well, in advance, I need to say that it's not very exciting, but I guess I came from Shropshire. I spent most of my formative years in Shropshire, and then travelled extensively in my 20s, ending up on the south coast after stints in America and Europe, and then my husband, who I'd then met, and we were living down the south coast, we decided to move back to be closer to family. So moved back to Bridgenorth in 1993, and we've been in the same house ever since. But we came back here to, one of the things we did was we took over my father's business when he retired, and that was a manufacturing sawmill. And it was, we made sheds and fences and cut bespoke timber for people's building projects, etc., etc.
How old were you when that was even a proposition?
28.
And you remember it well, I'm sure. Just no offense, but it's such a completely different.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with property.
Can be, I mean, in as much as the content of what you were cutting up would end up in people's homes.
Well, yeah, we imported timber from the Baltics and from France. The French oak was good for building products. So yeah, it was an interesting life. But as with a lot of these things, it was a small business, and we had a lot of competition from big firms with deep pockets. And it got to the point where, in order to keep going, we would have had to make a very significant investment. And we didn't own the site, we were tenants. And it got to the point where we just felt we weren't committed enough to it to take on that investment. So during that time, I was looking for something else that I could do and that would interest me. But it also, because of our family circumstances at that time, it had to be something that was extremely flexible. Because we had a number of other things that we were dealing with.
And it should be said, Heather,
yeah,
flexible working was not a normal thing back then.
No, it really wasn't.
You would take on a job, you work there for a number of years, you might have more than one job in your working life, but most people only had one or two jobs on their CV. So doing something inherently flexible, that was alien, right?
It really was, but I needed something flexible because of our circumstances at that time. And our previous business experience had given me a golden rule that I chose to follow. And that was that having dealt with premises, stock and staff, all of which at different times were very expensive and very problematic, decided to look at something that didn't need premises, stock or staff.
When I started one of my more recent businesses, I actually went through very much the same thought process. In a previous business, I'd been VAT registered, I'd had staff, and I'd had to keep a certain level of stock. And that was the triumvirate of pain and misery.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was where it was. Now, this was 22 years ago.
Right.
And over the years I have had staff now. I am looking at now eventually going into premises, but the main reason for starting this business was no premises, no stock, no staff. And the way I found my route in was through the Exchange and Mart magazine. I was looking for ideas. I know, not even a thing anymore, I don't think.
I was going to say that's a blast from the past. Exchange and Mart.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I found in there an advert for a business model. And what appealed to me was it was about property, which I'd always been interested in. But also it wasn't a franchise. Because I needed to be flexible, I didn't want to be part of a franchise operation which had goals and targets. And I needed something
not tied inherently to one format. You wanted to be your own boss.
I wanted to do my own thing. So basically bought the business model, did the training, and here we are.
So it's the same. I mean, I know that around the edges have changed, and perhaps, but the intent was much the same. Was it all to do with searching back then?
Yes, it was. I learned how to do the searches, and I mean that was really when you'd have a local search. You might have a drainage search. Environmental searches were a new thing. Coal was going then, but it was quite different. And it was in the days when everything arrived, every order arrived either in the post or on the fax machine. If it came in the post, it probably had a check stapled to it, which was happy days. And everything was done, on paper. I used to get through a checkbook every month.
Checkbooks.
Checkbooks, it was very different. I mean, yes, I used to get work would come by fax, in the post, or even I would have a local solicitor drop them to my letterbox on a Sunday afternoon. So, it was very different how it is now. But yeah, I suppose, as I said, what appealed to me was that it was about property, that it was an admin-based job that was flexible. Yes, I would have to make appointments to go to councils, but if I needed to have a couple of hours off here and there, I could make up the hours in the evenings, at weekends. So that was very flexible.
But theoretically,
yeah.
you could do it from anywhere, right?
Not so much then, because you still had to make your appointments everywhere and go and visit the
Yes,
council.
but you could have a phone. You could use a phone somewhere else. It didn't have to be from a particular premises. People weren't visiting you at shop, were they?
Yeah, no, exactly. So you could work from home, and some of the biggest search firms. I was only talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago. One of the biggest search firms started at someone's kitchen table. It's all about getting those first few customers, and the customers that I had 22 years ago, I still have now. So not all of them, some of them have retired, some of them have sadly passed on, but some of my customers have been with me that amount of time. The very first customer I picked up is still a customer of mine now, still a client now, which is great.
It's testament to you more than anything else, because most businesses that pick up customers over time have certain what we refer to as churn. But now, so let me expand this out, because IPSA is an association. It's I like to refer to it like a cooperative of a group of people working together towards a common goal, but not necessarily wholly dependent on each other. It's not like there's there's an umbrella under which they sit, but they all work separately and together. Would you say that's norm within IPSA, that IPSA members don't have a great deal of churn, that once people have discovered what they can do, they hang on to them?
Generally, yes. Obviously, it's quite an aggressive marketplace, and there are some big firms that are able to offer things that previously IPSA members perhaps weren't able to offer, and so we do lose clients to that element. Or if a small or smaller solicitor is taken over by one of the bigger firms that have already got their arrangements in place, so we do lose business. But generally, the call we'll get now is, I've been told I can't use your service anymore and I really want to. How can you help me get that sorted? So that is definitely something that's happening quite regularly. People want to use an IPSA member and are being told by their higher ups that they can't, because they have to use this firm because of this reason, the case management system or whatever it is. But yes, so I think the service that IPSA members provide is generally such a good service that solicitors and conveyancers want to continue using their services where they can.
I always refer to it as the John Lewis effect. John Lewis always provides the best of the data that you want, the best of the information you want, so you can actually make a valid choice, rather than take the whole of the market where you have to sift through a whole ton of stuff. And that's partly what IPSA seems to do. Now, let's wind back a bit, because I think we jumped ahead a bit here. You've now got to the point, you've started up the search thing. When did the IPSA come about? Oh, sorry, I got told off the other day. IPSA. When did that start up?
I think it was about 2007, but I could be wrong. 2005 was it, Hamish? Thank you.
Wow.
I wasn't there at the beginning. I joined early-ish, but I wasn't there at the beginning of IPSA. I do call it IPSA, I'm afraid. Yes, so it was around that time. But of course, some search firms had been going for quite a number of years by that point. And that was the catalyst there. They were realizing that they were all doing far more mileage than they needed to do, because they were duplicating. And so let's set up a cooperative, for want of a better word, and make everybody's lives easier, as well as raise the standards and quality. And
I call it a cooperative because, and this is incredible, well, all the other, to me at least, to all the other organizations that come across where you've got multiple members, there is an inherent level of competition, whereas in IPSA, there doesn't appear to be that. Now, how does that work?
Well, I'll give you a really good example. I've had a search request in this morning from one of my clients for a property that is not in my area. And I've had a quick look to see, what is available, what information is available. And actually, I'm pretty confident I could get all that information myself. but I'm not 100% confident. I'm like 95%. So I've actually sent that to another member because I'm more confident in what they can do. They will be going into that council regularly. They'll be interrogating that website more regularly. They will know where to look for things, where things are hidden. And I've just decided I'd rather pay the money and get that definitive response rather than guesswork. And likewise, people will ask me, not necessarily as IPSA, but as me, Shropshire Property Search, and they'll say, have you got any ideas about this? I've hit a snag. And I'm very happy to help them because, if somebody's in Durham or Cornwall, they're not stepping on my toes, and we can help each other, and then they'll be willing to help me if something goes the same way. It definitely is a two-way traffic.
And anyway, ever since I've been involved, which has been, well, happily, I can say 2 years now, ever since I've been on the scene, even vaguely, I've just noticed that there's a general supportive atmosphere. I've turned up to IPSA conferences. Everybody just welcomes you. You feel like it's part of a family. It's not closed walls, everybody looking at outside. It's very much of come on in. The water's lovely. Hamish, do you find that has been? I mean, you came into the fold later on than Heather, did you not?
No, actually slightly earlier, I believe.
Right. Oh, right.
I don't know exactly, but it was fairly early on anyway, because I wasn't exactly sort of swimming in the dark, in dark waters. But it was when I did actually sort of eventually sort of join. It was through, funnily enough, it was through one of the IPSA members, one of the early starters, Steve Davis, who retired a year or so ago, who I was actually speaking to, because I thought, well, I'll see if I can find any of these big search companies who appear to be independent, and see if I ought to speak to a few of those. And Steve was one of those that I spoke to, and he said, "Why don't you pop along?" So I did actually sort of pop along, and from that particular sort of day, I sort of, it was a great thing to actually sort of see, because although they're aware of, like Heather suggested, I wasn't aware of franchise operations. I'm not so sure that I found mine sort of way through to the Exchange and Mart. I can't even remember how the heck I found it now, but it was a similar sort of type of because I was looking to do something for myself.
It'd be more likely to be the back pages of NME, I would have thought.
That was a very likely possibility. We used to love the Exchange and Mart. It's amazing what you could find in.
It was amazing. I picked up some amazing drums on the Exchange and Mart back in the day.
Oh, really? Yeah. You could actually, but I think to me, what it was, and almost straight away, the very first meeting I went to, straight away afterwards, somebody was in touch and said, could we actually carry out this search for them in High Wycombe? Wow, that's actually fantastic. And so straight away there was that sort of camaraderie and the sort of. But one of the greatest things that we have found, and I mean Heather will back me up here, and we've got a great, because we're celebrating 21 years this year at our Members' Day in July. So any IPSA members who are watching who haven't signed, come along to that. That's going to be a great sort of day.
It's going to be wonderful.
And one of the things is, it makes it so much easier to create that intertrade between each other when you know somebody that you've actually sort of met there. And that's where the best contacts do actually sort of come. It's back. We didn't know, it wasn't called networking then, was it, Heather? I don't think. It was just.
It might. I don't know what it was. It might have been.
No, well, the word networking's taken on a whole meaning of its own over the last, particularly during and after pandemic. But no, it was just a group of people wanting to help each other, I guess.
Yes, and the fact it was, if you like, it was inexpensive to join, and people would help and support each other. And at that particular sort of time, the chairman also was absolutely great, because he would give additional training, or he would give more effective training than was available through this. Because we go along to a half-day seminar or a day's seminar, something of that particular nature, and they would learn you the tricks of the trade, allegedly. But as Heather would admit to us, that there is so much more to this business. And what Heather knows now is unbelievable, because Heather is the keeper of the records. It's amazing what records are, and then because of that, Heather is a font of all knowledge. If you ever want to know anything, speak to Heather. Speak to Heather, because she collects, she collates. She's got that sort of mind, and mine's not sieve-like and just chuff. If it's not music related, it'll probably disappear forever. But if it's something to do with music, but the admin sort of side of things. But I think it was from that, and there's a sociable aspect to it as well. And I think one of the great things is, and the way I used to look at it was, it's not there've been all sorts of different challenges that have been put in place to sort of try and even get in the way of what we're trying to do. The big guys, the factory conveyancers, and all sorts of legislation that people trying to bring out, the council's trying to bring out, all sorts of things. So it could be a little bit, and it was just great to go and spend a bit of time with other people who are actually struggling in the same sort of way.
Yes, I guess it, all tides rise, all ships. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, Hamish. It's been, in the short time I've been involved, it's been nothing but supportive of this. I found it a great support just for me. And when I turn up, because I'm usually either a DJ or a performer, and then turn up to a conference, and everybody comes up to me, Gareth, looking forward to seeing you. It's just amazing. I've never had that before from a professional institution. I've done DJ work for pharmacology companies, for all sorts of things. I never get that. I'm mostly ignored. But with IPSA, I feel like I'm part of the family. I brought my wife last time, and everybody's all happy with her. It's wonderful. Thank you so much, Heather, for taking the time out to be on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen watching, because I know there's a whole bunch of you, I can see you out there. Look, what we're trying to do is promote the reasons why you should either use IPSA or IPSA, or just be part of it. If you're of a mind to, please contact Heather if this is something that would fit within your remit. Understand, you're not joining a cult, you're joining a cooperative, people looking after each other, trying to help each other do better. And remember, the reason why IPSA searches are that much more meaningful is they look beyond the base data. They don't just take the basic information, they find the information that's relevant to you. So when you're trying to make better property decisions, you've got the right information to do it with. Sounds like obvious to me, but anyway, then what do I know? But thank you once again, Hamish. Thank you, Heather. And to all you watching, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, and in these interestingly troubled times, please try and look after your mental health. Until tomorrow, bye-bye now.
Local skill with national connection. Independent, but never alone. IPSA, where your professional home.